Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Strategic Business Influencer, my new series for leaders who know that in today's world, trust is the greatest competitive advantage. Today's guest is Laurie Oswald, CEO of InteraWorks, a leader in performance development and someone who deeply understands the connection between human potential and business success. Laurie has spent over 2 decades in the corporate tech and manufacturing sectors, where she experienced firsthand the pressures professionals face when trying to perform at a high level and live a full, healthy life. That perspective drives her work at InteraWorks, where she leads large-scale development programs that help people increase performance, lead with purpose, and achieve more. She is an industrial engineer by training, a passionate advisor to companies doing meaningful work, and the co-founder of the Best Year Yet Foundation, which brings this performance tools to nonprofits and changemakers around the world. I am so excited to have Laurie because she is going to be a wealth of knowledge for anybody listening. So welcome, Laurie. I'm so grateful to have you on the series.
Thank you, Paige. So thrilled to be here.
Well, I want to start off, our conversation talking about, the 20 years that you spent in corporate tech and manufacturing before leading InteraWorks. I'm curious to know, what was that turning point that made you shift from executive execution-driven leadership to more of that human-centered performance approach?
I would say, Paige, it goes back to probably my first leadership role pretty early in my career. The first time I was in a position to lead people, so to speak, and be responsible for, a larger effort. And having had no leadership development, because in the industry I was in, we got no training whatsoever on much of anything. I think I relied on what worked for me with leaders that I had reported to, what didn't work, intuitively sensing what people needed, what approaches made a difference in terms of their motivation, their joy. So I'd say, it was my own experience. The other thing would be the industry that I was in started to enter a period of change with digital coming on, a lot of M&A activity. So there was more and more chaos and change. And I think recognizing the challenges that presents and needing to support people to navigate through that, right? To stay focused on what they're trying to accomplish and stay upbeat and energetic while there's kind of a lot going on. Those are some of the things that come to mind.
And I'm curious, with your work, have you seen that change, kind of stay at the same level, or has it even been accelerated?
Well, no question, it continues to accelerate. Not only that, it's much more complex. So it's one thing to have a change as a result of one company coming together, right, with another. But when you're talking about change in the external world at the degree that it's happening now, as well as the change inside of organizations, particularly as it relates to technology, it's exponentially faster and more complex. We hear that a lot.
And with your work with a lot of successful executives, I'm curious, what do you think high performance leaders are really struggling with right now behind the scenes?
Well, the pace of change certainly is right up there. And given that, how to best manage their attention and energy, as well as harness the attention and energy of a team or a division or an entire organization. And then we also lately are getting a lot of requests for support around accountability. But it's interesting, not accountability in the sense that most people would define that word, but when there's a lot going on and you're trying to stay intentional about what's important, you have to have flexibility to respond to what's working and what's not working, and to be able to do it in a really neutral way. So we're doing keynotes, we're doing accountability programs. It sits right next to some of the other work that we do. But how do you infuse accountability in a neutral, inspiring way that takes the fear and the stress out of it, but really creates an organization that can just constantly learn, leverage what's working, and make changes, right, with what's not working.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you brought up, especially the word accountability. That's something that our team, especially our executive team, has talked about quite a bit. I'm curious from your perspective, whose role is it to hold that accountability, or how does that foster within a culture best?
Yeah. For sure, accountability is everyone's responsibility. So I think the first thing is we want to distinguish accountability from integrity. So integrity is doing what you say you're going to do, right? It's executed as you intend. Accountability is being responsible for the outcome, and being willing to be that stand, ensure that resources are galvanized appropriately, changes are made, course corrections are implemented. And that's really everybody's responsibility. We help each other become accountable. Leader has an important role in that, but it's not a command and control top-down function. We're all, for example, in the planning work that we do, when we work with intact teams, we strive to foster a sense that everybody is responsible for the whole plan. You may not have a function that's related to a specific goal, but this mindset of we're all accountable for success really changes the game in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, because I am completely, we've seen that in our culture and company as well. And there is this big shift when everybody steps into that accountability for one another. I've heard you say before the term, work-life balance is outdated, that it's really about integration. I think this is such a hot topic. I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday that also had very similar sentiments from another female executive and founder. So I'm curious how you coach CEOs to integrate their professional and personal energy in a way that is sustainable.
Yeah. It's funny. I had this sense about this term work-life balance being sort of off kilter and confusing very early in my career. It always seemed to me like it set up this competition, like a teeter-totter, right? That the two, work and life, were competing against each other. And then in order to keep them balanced, right, you had to position them, and one was always winning, right? Or one is dropping. But one of the things that I'll ask an executive or a leader is, have you ever experienced a team member who's struggling in their personal life? There's something going on there. And they'll, of course, acknowledge yes. And then we ask the question, well, what happens to their performance at work when there's something going on? And, naturally it suffers, right? We're human beings. We are whole people. We live our lives in a holistic way. And to not recognize that is really leaving a lot of opportunity and potential for leadership and relationship and mentorship on the table. I think COVID probably helped shine a light on that, because all of a sudden, people's personal lives were much more front and center as it related to work. We could see it. We had to deal with it. We had to work around it. We had to work with it. And what people were going through with their families and their health and their environment and their homes were so clear and apparent. So I think the first thing is shifting that mindset, that they are not separate, that they are holistic, and then recognizing that through a system or through certain frameworks of working, we can help bring people's attention and bring leaders' attention to this idea that what's really most important is to consider the 20% of things in someone's life that makes the 80% difference, right? And that includes work, and keep the focus there and provide systems there. But, we all have personal things. And again, going back to when I started working in a manufacturing plant, and this idea that people had personal lives was somehow behind the curtain. It wasn't talked about. It was frowned upon, in fact. And no allowances were made in that regard for people. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore.
Absolutely. I love that you pointed out there was a big shift with COVID, and you and I have talked about multi generations in the workplace as well. And, I feel like maybe I've even seen a shift from generation to generation in terms of how we've looked at that. I don't know if y'all have as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think I heard recently there are 5 generations in the workforce right now, which is extraordinary. And we tend to talk a lot about the attitudes or preferences of the different generations, capabilities. I think the piece that's most important for us to recognize is a lot of those differences and preferences are a result of a difference in values. And values, right, come from our experiences growing up. They come from the time, right, that we lived in. I think we have so much more in common than we have differences. And
Absolutely.
There are a lot of shared values, but when we recognize sometimes there's just a value difference rather than, a conflict, it creates a lot of grace to support, all of those generations.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the work that you do, it's very high touch. I mean, y'all are working with leaders, executives, and trust is everything because it's, not only professional work, but it's a lot of times personal development as well. So how do you earn and maintain that trust with leaders who are also used to be the ones that are in control and have all the answers?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we're fortunate at InteraWorks that our core programs, the work that we're most known for, they've been around a really long time. Are still some of the most popular programs in enterprise companies today. And that, just that level of experience and expertise and sort of proof helps quite a bit. But we have to show up authentically. We think as a team, we walk the talk, we model the work that we do, we practice the work that we do, we take a stand for the work that we do. I think clients get a sense too when we're working with them that we listen. We really want to understand and get beneath sort of what's going on in their immediate world of concern or their immediate challenges. And, our purpose at InteraWorks is we elevate the human experience. And I think there's that sense as well, that commitment to that mission, I believe shines through.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about one of your programs, Best Year Yet. It has become a core part of how InteraWorks helps leaders. So I'd love for you to share the origin story of that program. How did it get started? And then why does it continue to resonate with leaders across industries?
Thank you for that question. Best Year Yet is, I believe, the piece of work that we have that was created back in time before the rest of it. We're going on over 40 years now. Best Year Yet was created by a woman named Ginny Ditzler, she's known as being at the ground zero of the coaching profession. So before executive coaching or coaching in business was even a thing, she was doing that kind of work with executives. And she created a system then to guide her coaching that ultimately turned into a book and then became a business and started training people around the world to do this work. And I think it's so precious when you have something that is a product or an experience that's been around a long time and is still as relevant and universal and timeless as it's ever been, probably even more so now with where we are in the world.
Sure.
And It's really simple and profound and provides a framework for you to answer a series of questions and create a plan to accomplish anything that you want, to achieve literally anything. We've worked with adventure and sports teams, students, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and this idea that you can go through a process that pulls from you rather than pushes knowledge at you. It pulls from your own inner nature, your wisdom, who you are, and helps you architect a plan for success and do it really simply and powerfully, and then supports you to actualize it, and then do it again, and then do it again. And it has a lot of different applications. And we are just finishing a project that we're super excited about, which is we are taking that experience and creating a fully digital, self-paced app that will allow anybody in the world now to access that program. So we bring it into businesses and organizations quite often, but really anyone with a device that's interested to create a plan to actualize either what's important in their life or work or in some other endeavor will be able to experience it. And
wow,
we're very thrilled to have the opportunity to do that and bring it to the world.
Yeah, well, that's incredibly exciting because that program is so proven. I know time and time again, and that y'all are creating that accessibility for anybody to be able to access that is absolutely huge for those that are seeking that, personal and professional development. And I know that you've also co-founded the Best Year Yet Foundation, which I believe brings this program as well to nonprofits around the world. So I'm curious how that mission has really shaped the way you lead and define success, being able to continue to scale the reach of the program.
Well, another thing near and dear to our hearts, we started the foundation when we launched the business with the intention to provide access and resources to the same work we do inside of corporations that are fortunate to have the budgets and the awareness, right, around development and systems for performance and productivity. And with the recognition that nonprofits and community projects around the world don't always know about them, have access to lead and work and implement systems to be successful. So the foundation helps us do that with the idea that together, whether we're in partnership with a funding sponsor or in partnership with a grantee, we can bring not only Best Year Yet, but our effective edge productivity work and our leadership body of work that we do as well. And we've got projects right now going on in Poland, in India, in Kenya, various places in the United States. Wow. And, those relationships are just so fulfilling. So I think in terms of influencing leadership, or maybe the way we go about what we do, is looking for needs and how do we solve that need together in a way that's going to equip and enable people in the world, whether it's a business leader or a nonprofit staff member, to do more of what they do, right? They're doing incredibly important work in the world, and how do we equip and enable them to do more of what they're doing and what they were meant to do?
Well, that's remarkable. And thank you so much for leading that work, because I know that makes such an impact, especially as with the nonprofits with their missions as well. And even companies and their missions. It's absolutely huge. Laurie, there are two questions that I love to ask every entrepreneur, CEO, leader. And the first question is, who are you in addition to being a CEO?
Oh, goodness. Well, right now I'm a fundraiser, raising some capital and funding, which is
an important role.
Yeah. I am a practical creative, I guess you would say. Certainly a parent and spouse, family member, friend. All of those things are really important to me. Spiritual seeker. I'm always sort of present with what's going on that we can see, and trying to understand more of the world and my own experience in that way. Problem solver, sometimes galvanizer, architect. I love building things in all sorts of formats. And exerciser in training always, I would say.
That's amazing. I love it. In the last question I have for you is, what is the impact that you want to have at the end of every single day?
I crafted a purpose statement some time back, and I feel like it's still something that provides the most fulfillment, which is helping other human beings take flight. So I do believe that one of the meanings of life, if not the meaning of life, is to serve each other. And
yes,
if I can have helped one person, right, fly a little higher, a little more smoothly after a day, or a group of people or an organization, that's what means the most.
absolutely. And hopefully they're replicating that in their lives too. I love that. Well, thank you so much for all the insight that you shared, Laurie. If anybody wants to learn more about you and InteraWorks, can you tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. The best thing would be to go to our website, InteraWorks.com, INTERA works.com, and shoot a note off. And anyone on our team would love to share and understand what you're up to, and how we might be able to help.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And you all look out for the new program that is going to be accessible for all, which is Best Year Yet. And we'll be sure to share that. I'll be sure to share that on my channels once that's available.
Oh, thank you.
And probably reshare this interview at that time. But I told you all there was going to be so much value here. And thank you so much, Laurie, for coming on, sharing your experience, the work that you all do. It's so meaningful. And I'm just so grateful to have you as a guest.
Thank you. Thank you, Paige. Thank you for creating this space. Love the conversation.
Absolutely. Alrighty, y'all. Well, we will see you next time.